You probably think money is a spreadsheet game. Well, it's not. It's a dopamine game. And today, we're going to fix the way you play it.
So, back in the 1970s, all the experts were absolutely certain of one thing. We were staring down the barrel of an economic collapse. The global economy was just booming. We were guzzling oil like there was no tomorrow, and we just couldn't find new oil fields fast enough. The math seemed inescapable.
But the solution, well, it wasn't what anyone expected. And the way the entire world misread that crisis is almost certainly the exact same way you're misreading your own bank account right now. Because the real answer isn't in a calculator. It's right between your ears.
Okay, so let's really dive into this. The whole world was obsessed with just one side of the equation: supply. How do we get more oil? And you know what? It's the same exact logic most of us apply to our own finances, right? How do I get that raise? How can I squeeze out higher investment returns?
They were totally focused on the income statement, just trying desperately to increase that top line. But they were completely ignoring the single most powerful variable in the entire system, the one they had total control over. And it's probably the same one you're ignoring too. In just a minute, I'm going to show you how redefining this one thing can be way more powerful than getting any raise.
So, here's the real conflict. We love to treat money like it's this spreadsheet game, right? We're analyzing interest rates, returns, income, all the math. But our biggest, most important financial decisions, they don't happen there. They happen at the dinner table, and they're driven by ego, by insecurity, by what our neighbors just bought. And that giant gap between the spreadsheet and the dinner table, well, that's where all your financial anxiety lives.
And that brings us to the real battlefield. See, it's not about how much you make. It's about the constant battle between that number and what your ego wants you to spend.
Okay, this is the first really critical insight. We spend so much time trying to earn a little more here or chase an extra percentage point in the market there, things we have, let's be honest, very little control over. But the one variable that is 100% in your control is your savings rate. And it's not just a factor, it is the single most powerful factor in the entire wealth equation.
So here it is, the big aha moment. Savings isn't just a mathematical leftover at the end of the month. It's a psychological battle. It is the gap between your income and your ego, and there are only two ways to make that gap bigger: earn more or want less.
So if wealth is really built by not spending, then what's the point, right? Well, the payoff isn't what you can buy. It's the silent, invisible power that money gives you when you decide not to turn it into stuff.
We confuse being rich with being wealthy all the time. Being rich, that's about your current income. It's visible, it's loud. But wealth is hidden. It's the financial assets you haven't spent yet. Richness makes noise, but wealth is silent. It's an option you haven't cashed in.
Okay, so you put that money in the bank, you check your statement, and what's the return? Basically zero, right? Your spreadsheet brain just starts screaming that this is a total waste. It's inefficient, it's irrational, you're losing to inflation.
But the real return isn't measured in basis points. No, it's measured in freedom. That cash buys you the ability to change careers, to wait for a better opportunity, to handle any emergency without breaking a sweat, and just to control your own time. That 0% return might just be the highest yielding investment you ever make.
And this all explains a crazy paradox we see everywhere: really successful, high-income people who are somehow living paycheck to paycheck. They won the income game, sure, but they are absolutely losing the wealth game. It's simple, really. As their income goes up, their ego goes right up with it. The goalposts just keep moving. A bigger salary leads to a bigger house, which leads to a fancier car, more expensive vacations. They get stuck on this social treadmill, trying to signal their status to people who frankly are too busy worrying about their own status to even notice. They completely forget that spending money is literally the opposite of building wealth.
So let's be crystal clear. You have zero chance, none, of building real wealth without a high savings rate. I don't care what your income is. You can be a janitor with a modest salary and become a multimillionaire. You can be a Harvard-educated executive and go bankrupt. The single determining factor is not your job title or your paycheck. It is your savings rate, period.
So how do we fix this? It's not with some fancy budget app. You have to fix the software running in your head. And that requires a few really important psychological shifts.
First, you have to completely reframe the goal. You're not saving up for a car, you're saving to buy back your own time. Second, you have to actively work to shrink your ego, to desire less by caring less about what other people think.
Humility, not horsepower, is what builds wealth. And third, you have to save without a specific goal in mind, because the most important reason to save is for the surprises that you can't possibly predict.
A spreadsheet can't model a surprise pandemic, or a sudden job loss, or a brilliant opportunity that just pops up out of nowhere. Saving for no reason is the only way to prepare for a world that is always, always changing. It's the ultimate margin of safety for your life.
And all of this whole mindset shift, it builds toward the ultimate payoff, the real dividend that true wealth provides.
This is it. This is the entire point of the game. It's not about owning a yacht. It's about having the freedom to not be forced into doing things you don't want to do. It's about autonomy. And that right there is the true definition of being wealthy.
And that brings us right back to where we started. The world didn't run out of oil because the solution wasn't finding more of it, it was becoming way more efficient with what we already had. And in the exact same way, the solution to your financial goals isn't necessarily a bigger paycheck. It's building a bigger gap between your income and your ego.
That is the most powerful financial move you can possibly make. Stop trying to win the comparison game. The only winning move is not to play. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.